DJ PK, we're joined by Tim LaComb, Utah Jazz analyst for SCG Media. Tim, good morning.
Good morning. How are we doing today, everybody?
We are doing well. I am curious if you could define for us the importance of one or two good players on everybody else in a roster, or the importance of height, because putting Nurkic and Markkanen back in the lineup after a dismal, horrific 55-point loss at home and then winning on the road, that was night and day. That was they did it, as Karl Malone once said, they did a complete 360. Can you explain to us what happened, or is it more about, hey, we got hope now, and just playing with hope does that?
No, I honestly, watching him enough, and the two games prior to Charlotte, really played well. Defense started to kind of make some moves, and the offense is just continually climbing. Another game the other night of over 30 assists, but the Charlotte game was a stinker. There's no way around it. I walked into the Spanish broadcast prior to the game the other night, and after the 55-point loss, and said 55, and they kind of looked up at me and laughed, and I asked them, what are we in for tonight? And honestly, it was different. And you mentioned Nurk was back and Lowry was back, but Nurk's been big. There were a lot of really smart GMs on Twitter last year that just ripped the Jazz for the move. But in reality, when you look at it with what's happened to Walker, Nurk's become really important. Last 10 games, 18, 10, and 6 he's averaging. And, to be able to have a big guy that can do kind of that bulky work, but also aid on the offensive end and facilitating, it's rolling screening. He's a great screener. So he's important to the team. And when he's gone, they do not have anyone that can fill that role. I mean, he goes out and instantly, I love Kevin Love, but he's a totally different player. And his backup is Flip, So there is some explanation, I think, as to why things went so bad against Charlotte. But it was extra bad. And then to bounce back, and Nurk said that after the game, the response is really what they were excited about. The game against Charlotte is what it is, but they were able to go back out on the road and win in a really tough place to win. And so I think, there's a lot in your statement, but I think Nurk is pretty darn important to this club. And then Lowry has been one of the two guys playing like an all-star. And so I don't know, man. As I get away from Charlotte, I kind of write it off as a stinker a little bit. But the Cleveland win, that was impressive.
I'm glad you love Kevin Love, because I always say you should love who you love. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. So
I think you love the one you're with.
That was bound to be said.
Well, not true, because I'm with DJ every day, so I would disagree with that.
No, maybe Jake.
Well, hate the guy in the morning, love everybody else.
Okay, that's a good philosophy. I'm going to ask you a big picture question. What does this team need to get to 45 wins?
I think they're darn close, honestly. I do believe that this is kind of the last year of wondering what, the end game is going to be. When you think about what's transpired over the last few years, but let's just talk about this year. I mean, Keontae George, his ascension, his play, his attitude. I don't know if y'all heard his post game in Cleveland the other night, but it is night and day different. The level that he's playing at on the floor, but then his maturity level is really, he's really raised that. And so Jazz really, in theory, have two guys that are pretty much night in and night out getting 50 points together. They've got a really special big guy on the shelf, a guy that protects the rim, runs the floor, rebounds.
Right. So they've got those three pieces.
They got those three pieces, but the guy that Ace came in and played about 8 minutes in the fourth quarter the other night, and he had a couple of defensive possessions. He had a offensive possession that isn't like what you'd think from a star. He got an offensive rebound, and in mid-air
Yeah.
threw that thing to Nurk for a layup.
Yeah.
Ace makes winning plays. And so I'm going to add Ace to the really positive column. I think what we're seeing from Keontae is in terms of ascension, that's in Ace's future. To that level, I don't know. But I really do believe the Jazz are drafted well. Isaiah Collier is a guy who changes pace, when he comes in off of the floor, and he does something at such a high level, and that's assist. That's been a big breakthrough this year. Last year, the Jazz, in 82 games, had 16 games where they were over 30 assists. And, they'll blast that. If they're not already by it now, they're pretty darn close. And so just the whole team, things change. So to answer your long question, I think it's next year peak. I really do. I think we're at 45.
45?
With just the addition
Next year, 45?
Next year, 45.
Oh, I'd take that
I'm
right
saying
now.
Next year, 45.
Sign me up.
I would have said 40. But I said 30 at the start of this year, and you said 34. You're always a little more optimistic than me. But I do think that they're going to get to 30 if they don't tank. Are they going to shut people down after the All-Star game? I've had people say to me, and I'm sure you have too, the Jazz are not losing this pick. People inside the organization who I assume know exactly what's going on, they're not losing this pick.
Yeah, and
but
so
they're going to win 30 if they don't sit people.
What that means we don't know yet. It remains to be seen. But I guess my point is, there's so many people that think we're just in this vast wasteland, and I've been fortunate to have that seat from the very beginning. When trades were announced, acquisitions were made. I've been able to sit in that chair and watch what's going on. And I will tell you, last year was not fun at all. There were pieces of it, that you could kind of dig into. I really enjoyed watching Walker Kessler battle last year, honestly. And that's what I kind of have to take it down to that level. But there are so many positive things going on right now. And the idea that there is a war chest full of picks, we're still sitting on those high picks that we moved. That's still coming down the road. We've got all sorts of money. We're sitting in the good spot this year for another pick. I just believe that, the Jazz are definitely not resting on their laurels. They're drafting these dudes. They're working their tail off. And I'm seeing guys get better. Not just better players, but better fits to the system. And so, maybe it's outlandish to say that, but me sitting there watching it night in and night out, watching Will Hardy, kind of go above and beyond. His relationship with these guys is real. There's a lot of hype and promotion and all sorts of stuff out there in the basketball world. But again, I sit in this seat. I watch Will do his thing an hour and a half before the game. I see him during the game. I hear him after the game. So I'm able to kind of see a pretty unique piece. And I think they're on the right track.
Feels like the piece that's missing is the piece at the top. When you ask your third best, a guy who should be the third best player to be the best player, you ask the guy who's the fourth best player to be the second best player, that's where you end up coming up short. And fans get frustrated with them and don't realize they're good in a certain role, but now they're being asked to do too much.
Okay, but
if you dump them, then you got to replace them all. So it seems like we can sit here and argue about 40 or 45 and who the heck knows, right? But this group can definitely get better, can definitely get pretty good, but I can see how this group could get stuck in the middle pretty easily as well.
Yeah, but let's get to the middle first and worry about that after.
Amen.
But then if you can't bring in big-time free agents and if you don't have access to top trades at that point, either you find Giannis in the middle of the draft, like you found Stockton Malone in the middle of the draft, or you have to make the kind of big trade that right now doesn't seem to be happening in the NBA.
Yeah, but you're borrowing worry for the future, and we haven't even gotten there yet.
I'm looking at the big picture, PK.
I don't want to worry about 2030 until I get to get to 45.
Yeah, I get what Tim's saying. The improvement is happening, and there's it's building blocks and one step at a time and all that stuff. And they're trying to not look quite as good as they could look
right now.
The resting guys.
But next year we got 45.
But here's my point,
and 45
guys.
has been a great number for this country, I might add.
Exit stage left.
Exit stage left.
Let me give that some time. Okay. No, I mean, you just said it. The Jazz, with Nurkic at center and Walker on the bench and Love and Flip coming in, they literally are improving, getting better. I mean, if you imagine Walker's out there this year going at full tilt and you're bringing those dudes off the bench. So that's my point is Jazz fans, there's a segment of Jazz fans that all they do is complain because we're in a rebuild, period. And they don't look any deeper than that. And there's some people that just look at box scores. And you're not going to get anything out of that stuff. You've got to be in tune with what's going on. You got to understand what's going on. And I think that's when DJ doesn't come to the booth. I'm privy to that because I can watch the games.
Oh,
because otherwise he's too fun and we just talk the whole time.
See, that's why I stay away because I allow you to flourish.
You'd come in and steal everybody's air. So does that make sense? I think I mean, there's obviously things that still have to happen, but growth, there's things being added to the house. It was down to the studs, and now we've got this deck on it,
right. And I go along the lines where if management got the players to get to 45, then I have more faith in management to get the team to 55. And if you get to 55, then you're in the mix.
And then it's just who else is on the board, right? Is Jordan out there? What's the situation at the time? That's the other piece of this. There's so many variables that you can't control. You can really only focus on what you got.
And the other guy screws up. They draft DeAndre Ayton and who's the other guy? Marvin Bagley when Doncic is still sitting there.
Or Sam Bowie.
Or Sammy B. Yeah.
Yeah. So lots to play out, but I think we're on the favorable side of the ledger. I guess that's my point.
Well, thank goodness they beat Cleveland, or else we would say, I guess this sucks if they had two stinkers in a row, but they didn't. They played well. And something's going on with Cleveland, but that's their problem.
Yes, it is. A very big one, too. And might I add, the Jazz are holding some very valuable picks.
Next 27 and 29 drafts.
So we're supposed to be enlightened and not boo Donovan Mitchell when the reality is we want them to suck.
Absolutely.
Which might have been why we, beat them, just to add a little bit more decay to the foundation.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've seen something's going on. They've got cracks there. Yeah. I mean, the Department of Health might come in and condemn that place.
Too much caffeine.
I don't know what it is, man. It's Cleveland. The mistake by the lake.
Tim, we appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was waiting for the hook, and that was as good as it's ever been. So I'm slowly walking off the left side of the stage.
Okay, I'll see you. Tim LaComb, Jazz analyst for SEG Media. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.